Hey everyone, my name is Addyson-Zhang. I'm so honored to be a guest on this podcast, A Seat at the Table with Wiley Brazier.
You've got a seat at the table. Let's have a seat at the table with Wiley Brazier.
Welcome everyone to A Seat at the Table. I am your host, Wiley Brazier V, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in today. I am sitting at the table. It is my pleasure to have Dr. Addyson-Zhang. Hello, Dr. I.
Hey Wiley, thank you so much for having me.
No, it's great to have you here at the table today, and thank you for giving your time so we can learn more about you and everything that you have going, and so that we can connect more. Let me tell everyone a little bit about Dr. I. Dr. I is a professor, blogger, live streamer, and digital learning consultant. She received her master's from Syracuse University and PhD from the University of Maryland, both of which are located in the U.S. Dr. I teaches public relations and social media classes at Stockton University in the United States as an associate professor. Dr. I also serves on a number of social media committees at national communication organizations. As a digital learning consultant, Dr. I conducts research in the area and offers independent consulting services to help educators incorporate digital media devices into their classes as teaching tools to enhance student learning outcomes. Dr. I is also the host of the weekly Facebook Live show called Classroom Without Walls, using technology to reimagine education. On the show, she interviews leading professionals and educators regarding topics related to social media technology, education, and innovation. Her live show is watched by people from 13 different countries, and her recent interview with Mark Schaefer gained over 1,000 views, 21 shares, and over 230 comments. Dr. I, welcome again to the show. It is a pleasure to have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here.
So the last thing in your bio talked about your Facebook Live show. You know, I'm just right here. This is an audio podcast, but we also have a video cast that we put on YouTube as well. And so for everyone that's listening, if you haven't checked out the video cast, you can check it out on YouTube as well. That link is in the show notes. But I want to learn more about the Facebook Live piece. So, tell me about your show, The Classroom Without Walls. Tell me about what's the format for that show and what's it all about?
Yes, and I started my show last year. So it has almost been a year, last summer. And like Classroom Without Walls is almost like how I see the future of education. I am a big advocate of using technology and in my own classes. And also I encourage other educators to incorporate digital media devices into their classes to enhance student teaching and learning. And our students, they are digital learners. I see from my own classroom experience, and I see this from other people's classroom teaching experience. By using technology, and we can really enhance student learning outcome. And students can learn, and they prefer to learn like the digital way, anywhere they want, anytime they want. So I think technology really allows us to personalize teaching and break down the physical barriers that like limit learning to the classroom. And now with technology, we can learn anywhere with anyone and we want. And so that's why I call my show Classroom Without Walls. So that's how I see the future of education. Yeah, it is a weekly show.
That's great. And you said it's a weekly show. What day of the week and what time does it come on so we can make sure that the listeners have that information?
Oh, thank you. It is every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I kind of interview two groups of people. One is more like educators who are also innovators, the intersection of education and technology. This is one group of people I interview. Another one is social media marketing people. So that's kind of, yeah.
We were just having a conversation off camera. You've been doing your podcast, and we were talking about, you've been doing your show. And I've just started my podcast. We're just a few episodes in at this point. And so can you tell me about some of the inspiration? What goes into, was it everything that you set out? Have you achieved a lot of what you set out to do? Or tell me about your process with it.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning journey. My number one tip for anyone who is thinking about producing any sort of content is getting started. Seriously, getting started. I
Yes.
waited so long to share my story, and but don't before I got started on this journey, I was thinking, other people have already been doing this and that. This person is excellent. That person is amazing. What can I add to the conversation? Don't ever think like that. I believe everyone has a story to share, and we all have our unique voices to add to the table, and so don't let your fear to stop you. Just getting started. And originally when I started my show, my goal was to only interview educators and to inspire traditional educators to embrace the power of technology. But quite a few episodes and maybe halfway through running my show, I learned that traditional educators are not very interested in watching a Facebook Live show, which I understand. And so I have to really adjust the content of my show and the topics we discuss and the guests I bring into my show. But if I never get started, I will never come to this realization. And I also learned that how powerful it is to be a content creator. You mentioned earlier my show, and it's watched by people from quite a few countries, which is really just, I feel so blessed. And when I receive a message from my dear friend telling me, hey, I love your show, and really inspired me, and some really positive comments, that really motivates me to keep going. So now I really, when I started the show was for me, it's my passion. I'm really passionate about this topic. But now the show is really for my audience, whatever topics they want to hear and people they enjoy being on the show, I bring those people to share knowledge to make their life better. So I can see how my show is shifting in focus a little bit, but I love this learning journey.
Yes. The first thing, like you said, is getting started. The longest journey begins with a single step.
Exactly. And then the longer you wait, the harder it is to get started.
Yes. So you teach social media classes, and you have a lot of, you're on social media, you have a lot of things going. What do you think the role of social media is in education?
Yes, I think there are I think social media or technology is like everything else in life, has pros and cons. And so technology is definitely not the magic bullet. So I just want to put that up front. And I love using technology for a number of reasons. Like the first is, especially social media, is so good at humanizing who I am as a teacher.
Yes.
And really helps break down the power distance between the teacher and the student. I don't know about you, sometimes when I'm walking in the hallway, I run into students, I can feel the physical and the power distance between us. Students, they are intimidated by their teachers for whatever reasons. We evaluated them, we gave them a grade. They are afraid of us. And so I think using social media, incorporating digital storytelling and sharing my personal life, who I am, I'm also trying to meet my deadline. I also make mistakes. I'm also learning. I go to conferences. I eat, I sleep. I'm a human, just like my students. So students can relate to me a lot better. And when students have that emotional connection with you as a teacher, I think they learn better. And the second way of using social media is really makes me a lot more accessible to my students. Traditional classes, I come to my class, and then after the class is over, I leave. And maybe once in a million years, I will have students who come to my office hour to chat with me. But that's pretty much about it. But social media really allows me to stay connected with my students all the time. I know some people may not like this, but I love this. And to me, learning happens outside the classroom. And I couldn't tell you enough of how many amazing conversations I have had with my students on Snapchat, Instagram Messenger, or Facebook Messenger, or Twitter about class-related issues or their careers, or even sometimes their family and personal struggles. I love coaching my students. And to me, that's the best moments of being a teacher, which is to truly get to my students and to offer them personalized career and or academic advice. And social media allows that to happen. I'm part of their learning journey as opposed to a class they go, but I'm with them all the time.
Yes.
And related to this, I think a third way of using social media is that social media or technology really amplifies what one teacher can do in the classroom. Like I'm very active on social, and my professional connections are also my students' professional connections. And instead of learning from me, they're also learning through me. I'm like a channel. All of my connections, they become guest speakers, or students connect with them on Twitter. And technology is not going to replace teachers in the classroom, but can substantially amplify what one teacher can do in the classroom. So those are the three ways.
I love that. The learning, not just learning from you, but learning through you from others. That is phenomenal. That further amplifies the whole classroom without walls, and it gives them a seat at the table with all of these other different guests and all of these other people who can positively impact their journey, their learning journey. I love that. That's great.
Oh, thank you.
Great. So many educators, many principals and district leaders, tell me, how can schools, district leaders, and everyone, teachers, take advantage of some of the additional benefits like you just mentioned?
Mm-hmm.
How can they take take advantage of some of those benefits for social media for their schools? So more from like a district or principal perspective, how can they take advantage of it for their schools and districts?
Yes, I believe every single person is a digital storyteller. I think that's how we build trust. Every single person, we are bombarded by information overload and content, ads, and using social media is a great way to build trust with your audience. Even as students, we are not only choosing a school that we attend, but I think we will have a better experience if we trust the school, we know the school, we have some emotional connections with the school. I'm sure all of us can relate to this. We don't just shop from a brand. We prefer to buy from a person. So I think that's the power of social media. Every single school should really tap into the power of social media and start to share stories of their students or staff or teachers or even like parents, to create a sense of a community, to humanize who they are, not just like a ABC, whatever name the school is, but a complete like holistic human being, like that feeling, like being authentic and being like trustworthy. I think you have to use stories to create that feeling. So students are more interested in attending the school. They are more interested in staying connected with the school after they graduate. It just like bring everyone closer. So I don't think many schools are doing this, and I think they should really tap into this.
I love that, digital storytellers. We definitely have to make sure that as educators, as leaders, we are telling our stories. I really like that. There's always going to be PR around education and schools and districts,
Absolutely.
but at the same time, we need to be our own public relations person and tell our own stories, because if we don't tell it,
Absolutely.
someone
Yeah,
else is definitely going to tell
exactly.
it.
And I don't know, I think many people will use Google, like even before we go to a restaurant, we Google the restaurant, but like attending a school is such an
Yes.
important decision. I can't tell you how much time I spend like Googling different schools before we send our children to school. A few years ago, I searched every single school. I went to their Facebook page and like to see if they have comments from parents, not just comments from the school staff or teachers, but actually comments and opinions from the parents who are actually attending the school. And I have to tell you, those like stories from other people really make a huge impact in terms of our decision-making process, And we talk about first impression. Nowadays, first impression starts online.
Yes. Yes.
If
That's a great
Google
point.
couldn't find you, like you don't exist at all. You have to be Google searchable. I don't know if that's a word. Yeah.
They do, nowadays we just use Google as a verb. You have to be, just Google me, so
Exactly.
that is what parents and everyone are going to do. So,
Exactly. Yes.
so when you were just talking about, I do want to point out one thing. Can you tell us where you are joining us from right now?
South Korea, Seoul, South Korea.
All right, so South Korea. So I just
I
wanted, go ahead.
Yeah, I truly embrace this classroom without walls. I think the best learning happens outside the classroom. We have only been in Korea for 1 year. I can't tell you like enough of how much, especially my older kid who is almost 6.5, how much he has changed, how diverse and the way he thinks, I can tell his view is broadened by interacting with children from different countries, different cultures. So I truly embrace this, classroom without walls, real life learning.
Leading by example, love it. And so you are in this show allowing a seat at the table to be a worldwide show. Thank you. We've gone worldwide. All right. Crossing the seas and the oceans. All right. So we just talked about educators and telling the stories, and not everyone is doing that. So why do you think some educators don't use or shy away from social media?
Yes, definitely. I think two reasons. One is at their personal level, fear of technology. Like many educators, at least when I was in graduate school, I didn't learn much about technology. It's not part of my experience growing up. This is something new, and this thing just like changes all the time, right? Facebook and Twitter, like Snapchat, every single digital media platform, they change all the time. So I think that fear of technology, and not everyone wants to embrace it or put themselves in the public sphere. Everyone can look at you. What are you doing? They judge you, they evaluate you. So I think that's the personal level. And also, I think maybe a bigger reason is there is not enough institutional support. And I think teachers are like students. When there are not enough incentives, people are not likely to do it, And I think if school-wide, they really want to encourage teachers to embrace digital learning, and they have to give them the resources to make this happen, and maybe reduce their pressure, because I'm in higher education, maybe reduce their pressure for publication or reduce some of their services. You cannot just add on this to their everyone's already like bombarded with so many things, teaching research surveys. You cannot just add another thing to their plate. You really have to remove something and add this and give them enough resources and incentives to embrace this. So I think those are the two primary reasons.
Great, great. And I was pleasantly surprised to find that you are teaching these different social media courses at the university level, because I know definitely when I went through preparation programs and things of that nature, you know, like you just said, we didn't have anything on technology. And at the time, you know, hey, social media really didn't exist. So,
No.
you know, so I kind of had to, you know, and as many educators have had to learn it on the fly and on their own. So
That's what I did. Yes.
definitely. So do you have any resources or any tools that can help educators get started using social media for good?
Yes, I think to get started, you really have to use whatever you feel comfortable with. I think that will make getting started a little bit easier. And my personal favorite tool is Twitter. Through Twitter, I connected with so many amazing social media marketers and educators. There are at least 10 or 20 Twitter chats related to education, you know. So I think if you are willing to learn, there is enough resources for you to learn. You know, you just have to make that first step to be willing to be a student. You know, like somehow in education, I think this is misleading because like for me, I got my PhD and we call this a terminal degree. And I think that label is so misleading because there's no ending point to learning. You know, we all need to be lifelong learners and be willing to say no. Like, I don't know, I don't have an answer. And let's go figure this out together and like embrace that. Yes. So anyway, Twitter, I think definitely get onto Twitter. It is amazing, and participate in Twitter chats. You know, if you want a list, I can send you a list of education related or social media related Twitter chats that I personally really enjoy and learn and network and develop a personal learning network. You know, there are lots of amazing educators who are embracing technology, doing really great things, who are the pioneers. And I learned a lot from them. So I really encourage everyone to just like get started. Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned Twitter because that is like my big go-to. You know, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and all of that. I have accounts, should I say? Okay, but I am most active on Twitter. And for everyone listening, Twitter is actually how you and I connected.
It's like exactly Margaret. And she's amazing. She's a great connector. She got us connected. And exactly.
Definitely. And so, you know, Margaret Atkinson, who is here in Louisiana with me. And for everyone listening, you just mentioned Twitter chat. Dr. I just mentioned Twitter chats. And, you know, I run this, the Louisiana Ed Chat, the LA Ed Chat for our state. And, you know, it is a great opportunity for everyone, not just Louisiana educators, but, you know, it's for everyone to come together and learn. So if you will share those additional chats, I'll make sure I put them in the show notes and everything.
Yes, so definitely. Yes. And just a quick story. I didn't start building my digital footprint only until 3 years ago. So I have only been on social media really actively building my digital footprint for 3 years, and the results have been truly amazing. You know, when I started, I remember I had maybe like 300 followers on Twitter, and now I have, I don't even know, 7,000 or something. I grow my followers organically and mainly through Twitter chats.
That's great. That is great. And I like that you mentioned the digital footprint. I had another guest on the show who also referred to it as a digital tattoo. You
Yes,
know,
that's a great way to, yes, clearly, yeah.
because you are putting it there permanently.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right, Dr. I. So I want to change it up just a little bit. We have talked shop, and so I also want on the show. I also like to make sure that the guests get to know you personally as well, right? So we're going to
Yes.
change it up a little bit. Okay. So you have your Facebook show, and you do a lot of things teaching at the university level and online and everywhere. So you have to have some downtime, right? We have to have some work-life balance. And so what would constitute a perfect day for you?
Yes. So I don't know if I mentioned this. I have two young boys, 3 and 6 years old. So my perfect day is I do work that helps me move my business forward. At the same time, I spend quality time with my children. And I love traveling. I love traveling. We actually just came back from a trip to Malaysia with my children for their spring break. And as I mentioned earlier, I think traveling is maybe not the one of the best ways to learn, in real life with real people and through real problem solving. So like with traveling and quality time with my children, and also do things can move my business forward. So I think that's kind of like my perfect work-life balance day.
All right, cool. So then, if you could wake up tomorrow having gained one quality or ability, what would it be?
I really wish I could tap into the brain of like spiritual or masters or super successful people. I want to know what they are thinking every day and how they get to where they are. So I really wish I could have that superpower.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. So then, if you were able to live to the age of 90 and either retain the body of a 30-year-old or the mind of a 30-year-old for the last 60 years of your life, which would you want?
The mind, for sure. Because I'm a meditator. I meditate for almost a decade. And I truly believe in the power of our mind. I read books, or nowadays I listen to books from spiritual leaders. I study spiritual development. There are so many stories of how our mind can create matters and can make manifestation happen in our life. So I think as long as the mind is powerful, the mind can create the body that we want, and even has the power to change our body. I heard stories people can just use their mind to cure physical diseases, and which is amazing. So I absolutely my mind.
All right. So then, if you had a crystal ball that could tell you the truth about yourself, your life, your future, or anything else, what is it that you would want to know?
Yes, I want this cute, pretty magical crystal ball to tell you every day that I am enough the way I am. I'm good enough. I'm awesome. And because I suffer from like imposter syndrome or self-doubt. And the more I talk to people, I learned that not just me, many of my friends and even those leaders I look up to who seem to figure out everything, they also suffer from self-doubt. So
Yes.
I think because our educational experience, we 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 learned, or we are being conditioned to focus on our weaknesses, what is not working, what is wrong, and we don't really pay too much attention to what we are good at. So I really want this crystal ball to tell you and to remind me every day, you are good enough the way you are, and just like to give me that confidence. Yes.
All right. So you have a lot going on with your business and your personal life and all of those things. So, I know that you have your show. And what are some of your goals for the future?
Location independent, and going back to what I said earlier, and the freedom to travel. Like, so location independent is truly, it's very crucial to me. And also technology, it's makes everything so much easier nowadays. We are in two different countries and we are doing this interview. So that is one. I also want to achieve financial freedom so that I have the freedom to do what I love, such as producing content that I enjoy, like running my Facebook live show. I'm also a blogger. I enjoy blogging. I enjoy creating content and using the content I create to make other people's life better. So I want to achieve that, like financial freedom. I also have lots of dreams. I want to start a scholarship, and I want to, because my husband and I will visit a local orphanage in Seoul, South Korea. I also want to sponsor some children to help them achieve their dreams. And I also want to organize a conference for parents like myself who are really into spirituality and entrepreneurship and problem-based learning and alternative education model, to organize conference. So location independence and being location independent and financial freedom.
That's great. That is great. That sounds like something I like too. So before we go, I always have guests, either can you tell us a quick joke or tell us a quick story. It can be either from your experience as an educator or not. So can you give us either a quick joke or a story?
Yeah, I don't think this is a joke. It can be maybe like a story. And it's like, I call this the lotus flower spirit. And I'm a first generation immigrant to the US. And I grew up in China. So I'm influenced by Chinese culture. And also I went to the US at a very young age, maybe 22 years old, by myself. I didn't know anyone. And back then, the internet was not really as advanced as today. So I encountered lots of like challenges and difficulties in my life. So this lotus spirit like story or metaphor really kept me going. So what this is that lotus flower grows in dirty water or grows in the mud. So to the lotus flower, the mud and it's the nutrition that they need to grow. And to humans, mud or dirty water symbolizes like hardships or challenges in our life. They are here to make us grow strong and grow beautifully, just like the lotus flower rising above the dirty water, the mud, and becomes so elegant and so beautiful. So challenges in our lives are here to make us grow, to become stronger, and to serve others. So that's, I don't know if it is a story, but it really kept me going for those many years. Every time when I face a challenge, I remember the lotus flower to keep me going.
That is a great story. Yes, the story of you and the story of the lotus flower. You actually gave us two in one. And it's an inspiration for us all for the future and giving us a new perspective on challenges and mud. All right. So any last thoughts or any parting words that you want to share with any of the viewers or listeners?
You asked really great questions. I think I shared all that I can. Maybe my last piece of advice is getting started, and the only person who can defeat us is us, and as long as you believe in yourself and you can make everything is possible, don't let yourself defeat yourself. Don't let your self-doubt or fear hold you back.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. So then before we go, where can people learn more about the Classroom Without Walls and using social media to connect? And, basically, how can they connect with you as well?
Yes, definitely. And my name is Addyson-Zhang. If people just search my name on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Snapchat, on LinkedIn, it is very consistent. And people can find me on Facebook and join my Facebook Live. I also have a course, which is digital learning pedagogy. So anyone in that course, I coach people how to use Facebook and Twitter as a teaching tool. I give you specific features and assignment ideas. So if anyone is interested in that, and please just send me a note. I will send the course to you for free. Yes. And yeah.
All right, great. Do you want to give your email or anything?
Yes, the same. Addyson-Zhang@gmail.com. So my personal brand is really consistent.
All right, great. That is great. And we'll have all of that information in the show notes as well, so that everyone can just click on it and be able to connect with you. So, Dr. I, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you for joining me today, sharing your time, talents, and your treasure with me and the world. To everyone tuning in, thank you for your participation in this conversation. Like a home-cooked meal, I hope this show has nourished your body and your mind. So until next time, with me, you will always have a seat at the table. Thank you again, Dr. I.
Oh, thank you so much.